So who am I? For those who don't know me, Peter Dickinson. I'm a business and digital coach. Been doing it forever. Worked with over 500 companies over the last 20 years. Worked with technology since 1984, when computers, believe it or not, filled a complete room. And got around 30,000 connections on LinkedIn. I've been on it since pretty much day one. So hopefully, I've learned quite a few lessons, and it's been a continual learning curve since 1984. So hopefully plenty of depth and experience there. And say working with 500 companies, generally work with pretty much every sector. So hopefully not only understand the technology, hopefully have a good feel for your business sector as well. So what are the purposes of the group? Well, it's about helping you guys compete in the digital world. We were fully running throughout the pandemic, and we've seen massive changes to the way digital marketing is run. And we've got a wide range of clients, from digital apps to construction companies to care homes and so forth. So it's how you can use the tools that are appropriate for you, appropriate for your size of business, appropriate for your sector. Everyone's different. There is no vanilla solution. You have to pick out what works for you. Hoping to build on your knowledge and also, if we can, solve some of your digital marketing problems. And with the peer group, as we develop, we're going to be holding each other accountable. But these are early days. So what is Vision Success? Well, we've got the free Wednesday morning workshops, 11 till 12. We've got online digital marketing courses. We've also got a fast track digital marketing 90-day challenge for those who want to work in groups, or simply we can work one-to-one, and we've got a range of packages to do that. And it's all on the website. And we've also now got a 60,000 word book to provide, which is $14.99 from Amazon, and that will give you any depths of a lot more depth that we can go to in a workshop. So what we try to do is we try to give you some knowledge. We've got the free peer group, this one, and we've also got the paid for ones, and hopefully over time we'll start to hold each other accountable and so forth, so that because that's the basic with any business. You're running any business, you need to keep lots of small changes, like Dave Brailsford did with the Beijing Olympic women's team, and that's how he got them to get so many golds and so forth. It was just making sure they found something to work on, they did it, and repeated that until they'd ironed out everything, so that they're performing as best they can in all aspects. Okay, so the education slot. What is digital marketing and why do I need it? Not really aware, but the numbers are staggering. A quarter of the planet is on Facebook. There's over 1 billion Instagram users, and LinkedIn continues to grow. I know it's changing, and I know there's sort of a bit of a backlash of not on LinkedIn, because we're seeing more sort of Facebooky type stuff, but it is still growing. I was one of the first million users in the million users group. The oldest millennials now are 35 and growing, and they're digitally native. They, it's interesting watching my kids who are 27 and 30 deal with issues, and its first go-to place is YouTube, rather than trying to find a book or something. It's very digitally integrated, and they expect you to deliver whatever you do, as much of it digitally as you can. Spend quite a lot of time on social, and we all get our screen reports from our phones. It's pretty much clear now that we're into working home hybrid. So you've got there was a big leap in to, I think, 35% of all turnover during lockdown was via online retailers, and people have got used to sitting, oh, well, actually, I can just do it from a phone. And then we've now got a bit of a crisis, getting people onto the shops, into the shops again. But life's changed, and the Generation Z, they're quite hard to get to. They're called hidden audiences because they don't do terrestrial TV. They watch when they want to watch, and they watch through different channels. So the world has changed irrevocably because of COVID. So when we talk about digital marketing, what is it? What are the components? Now, this was the list in front of you now, the diagram in front of you now, is actually a cut down list from about 120 icons I could have chosen, all the different aspects. We as an agency, because Cover is an agency as well as a coaching business, we cover all that stuff. That's probably much the core of our offering. And it's quite surprising how it's grown. So people say, oh, I've done a bit of social media, or I've done a bit of email, and my website's not working particularly well. It's because there are a lot more components to it. And because this will be available as a presentation through the WhatsApp group, then you'll be able to look at this at your leisure. Well, we have to think about it as a system. When you say your website doesn't work, maybe it's because your social media is not working properly. Or maybe it is if you're B2B, selling business to business, maybe LinkedIn's not working, maybe you're not posting it. Have you found the right keywords? It's a very misunderstood area because people see it as a dark art or whatever, but it's not. It's a process. Are you using the right hashtags? Are you using the right keywords and so forth? So therefore, in order as a basis for the right sort of content, is the content going onto your website? Are you promoting it to LinkedIn? Are you reminding people through email what you're doing? Everybody's really busy. A lot of it's all about interrupting people's attention so that they can go, oh, yes, I've forgotten about that. Thank you for reminding me, and they go to the website and so forth. Websites becoming a lot more interactive. Not a question of just sticking a brochure up there. Brochures, yes, nice to have, but they need to be interactive. How are you going to make it interactive? You're going to put videos on there. You're going to put a web chat in there. Things that allow people to then engage with the website. And a lot of this stuff has become more to the fore over the last since lockdown, because that's actually, for some people, the only vehicle they've got about communicating with their audience. How does that look like in reality? Now, obviously, I'm not going to go through this diagram, but we use a tool called Creately. Fantastic tool. We've got the paid-for version, but the free version is equally brilliant. It just restricted in what you can actually do. You're only allowed 60 elements, and I think 3 projects, whereas we've got now hundreds on there. I love this program because I can sit with a client, we can map out, because everybody's journey is different. So we map out what their journey is, what their preferences are, where they're at the journey, and so forth. And we can build a current state, i.e. what it's now, and we can build a future state, what you'd like it to be. I tend to color code it so the same diagram is the same, so you can see what the journey is on. So you've got to develop your own digital marketing ecosystem. So when somebody says, I'm going to do your digital marketing strategy, that should be what comes out of it. What is the process? What is the flow chart? What is the journey? George is asking, does Creately compare with Micro? I have Miro, so I have no idea. I'm not aware of Miro. But basically, this is a really easy tool. I'm sure you can have a look at both of those. Thanks, Rachel. Rachel E, if you could put the link to the Amazon book in the chat. Someone's asked for it. But whatever system you use for it, mirror boards are fine. I'm just wasn't aware of it. But the idea is simple. You stick a you identify what the process is, identify what the next bit of the process is. So for example, this was an ecosystem for an e-commerce shop. So it's based around Shopify. But equally you do some on the website. And basically you start, where do you start? Well, you start at the top of the funnel, and we're going to be covering funnels in the next week. The other thing you need to be aware of, if you're not already, is the phrase omni-channel. If you're a business, more and more people are expecting you to communicate with them in a way that they want to be communicated with. I think this year, we're going to see WhatsApp for business. We could currently recommend you put web chat on your site, because a lot of people communicate via that mechanism. Our phones don't ring anymore. We've got WhatsApps for every single client. It means there's really fast communication. Obviously the phone for certain sectors, our phones never ring other than suppliers trying to sell me things. But for others, it might be an online shop. And you've also got to think, if you're a service business, how do you productize what you do? So for example, we've taken all our knowledge and put it into a book so that, we answer that question. So if somebody wants a really low cost way, well, here you go, you can read the book. So it's finding and so therefore we're now, as a service business, we're actually on Amazon. So it's being creative in the way that you package up what you do and so forth, and make it applicable to what people want. So what we're going to sort of work on now is one of my main bugbears when I've been running workshops and things is I say to, who do you sell to? And they go, oh yeah, we sell to everybody. No, you can't do that. Not anymore. In a product-led, when you just sold stuff, but you didn't really know who you're selling to or why people bought it and so forth, which was the case 20 years ago, whatever. Now it's completely different. When we use tools like LinkedIn advertising, Facebook advertising and so forth, we have got to be really precise on the audience that we are targeting. So we have this thing called a buyer persona. If you Google it, you'll see lots of images and so forth, people talking about it. In the old days, we used to have, when I was sitting with a client, so we used to say, right, okay, there's an empty chair. Imagine who would be sitting in that chair, your customer. What would they be wearing? What would their job title be? What would be the things they were thinking about? What would be the sort of tasks they're trying to get done? And now that's over the last few years, that's been formalized. This sort of term's been around for about 10 years, I guess. But people sort of went, oh, well, do I need to do all this? And, we were saying, okay. But now it's absolutely critical. You've got to be crystal clear on who you're selling to. Not every sector, not everybody you sell to will be profitable. And you may need to, and you will need to use maybe different language. So selling to the baby boomer like me, where majority of the baby boomers are, yes, they've got a handle on technology, but we are not digitally native. We've had to learn it. Whereas selling to Generation Z, they are digitally native. So you've got to be using the right tools, the right language and so forth. And they'll have different challenges as well. So here we see an example of a small business person, business owner, 1 to 10 employees, maybe an industry expert and so forth. From a marketing perspective, no challenge, no control of his marketing and so forth. And the goals are there to drive sales and run the business. And you can see somebody running a bigger business, a professional marketeer, they were looking for different things, whereas the small business is money poor but maybe time rich. More professional marketer might be very time poor but have the money. And then we've got the larger ones, larger digital marketing person maybe. Their goals will be completely different again. But they're all interested in marketing. They all want to know about marketing, but generally we would sell to some of these and some of these, but we would never touch some of these because we don't speak that language. We don't have appropriate services for And so it's making sure that you really understand. Yeah, sorry, we've not quite got a paper book yet. We are talking about getting it printed. So again, this was actually using created in Creately, so it's something that I lifted from Creately, and this is a template you can use. We're going to show you a spreadsheet. We're going to be able to download a spreadsheet. We are actually in the process of building the app. It's nearly finished, but not good enough to demonstrate to you guys and make available. We will be looking for beta testers. It will be free, no cost. Looking for beta testers to give it a go. If you put your name into chat, then Rachel can keep a record. So here we have, we capture name, age, title, industry, and so forth. What their interests are. Don't forget, for B2C and B2B, it's slightly different. So job title obviously refers to B2B. Their age might be B2C, and so on. We'll go on to the next slide. So the other thing that we need to think about is so what's influencing, what's their pain? I'm sure you've all, or you'll have heard of the pain selling model. You'll have, in the past, you'll have been to workshops which talked about when you're selling, well, you've got to, sell the benefits. So you have the FAB analysis of features, attributes, benefits. So, selling a pencil, for example, the benefit is it can write. Why can it write? Well, the attribute is down its core, it's got some graphite, or used to be graphite in the old days. And so the feature is, it's a piece of wood with some graphite down it. But you sell the benefit. It's used for writing, and you can rub it out and so forth. Well, that's great, and you still need that. That's not negated. But if you're working with somebody, you're talking to somebody, say, for example, in a network, or you're on LinkedIn and so forth, you've got to understand what their pain is. What is the pain that they're trying to solve? Everybody's got problems, and the more efficient people are better at quickly solving those problems, or getting rid of them, or whatever. So we have so the first job is to think about, and there's a thing called, if you want to go into more depth, there's a thing of value proposition canvas from Strategizer. But I like this because it's a simpler version of that. That takes a bit more explanation, whereas this is relatively simple. So first of all, think of the task that person's trying to do. What is it that what are the things that they do in their everyday life? We're going to look at an example in a minute, and then what are the feelings they experience with whatever these tasks are? Is it frustration? Is it annoyance? Is it can they get the job done, or is it happiness because they're being successful? So it's about what really matters to them. What's in their forefront of their mind at the time. We then have what's influencing them. In the old days, when there was lots of attention but no information. I remember when I was MD of a waste company, I would literally interrogate salespeople when they came in for all the information I could drag out of them. They'd come all with their fancy sales scripts, and I destroyed it within the first few minutes because I needed that information. These days, though, I'm seconds away from pretty much any information I need on most subjects. So that when I'm talking to when you talk to a salesman, you've got all that information. So it's important to know who's influencing them. So it could be social media, it could be friends down the pub, it could be trade associations, it could be, if you sell into the law sector, they're influenced by other law firms. And you've got to know that if you're selling to the law sector, because if you say to a law firm, hey, we're already working with X, Y, and Z, they're actually going to listen to you. If you said that in any other industry, they wouldn't. And so it's very sector specific and individual specific as to what those influences are and the priority they are. But you do need to know them. And then we get to the pain points. So you know what the problem is, you know who they're listening to, So what is the pain? What are they trying to solve? And then you need to know the overall journey that buyer, that goal, that user's on. Where do they want to end up? Can you help them on that journey? Because that's where your USPs, the things that differentiate you apart from those people who you else compete with. Okay. And this is it populated for us. So for a marketing person, generate new inquiries, find new customers, etc. What influence? What's the feeling of frustration? Dealing with agencies, dealing with their own staff, not understanding things, not being able to keep up to speed, time pressured, not understanding, etc. And then influenced by the team, external consultants, adverts, and so forth. The pain points, they don't get enough inquiries. They don't understand digital marketing. They either lack time, money, and technical creative skills, all of those or some of those. Their overall goal is to generate enough inquiries and sales at an acceptable cost, return on investment. So you can see how this pulls together for a marketing company. If you go to http://bit.ly/buyer-persona guidance, you can pull down this spreadsheet. As I say, you will be able to, hopefully in a few weeks' time, this will be an app which you'll be able to complete. I'm still developing the training material and stuff around it so that you can do it yourself. But the idea is you download that and fill it in. Now you might have several buyer personas for your business. So typically you may have up to 3, depending on the sort of business you are. If you're a manufacturer and an installer, for example, you might be selling business to business, and you might be selling business to retail, or you might even be selling to consumers direct. Depends on your business model. If you've got more than 3, I'd kind of rule that lack of focus in the business, or you're a large business. So using Mentimeter, if you'd like, or chat, I don't mind which, if you'd like to fire some questions into Mentimeter, it should be able to do it through the screen. So has anybody got any questions? Okay, all right, not to worry. Okay, so what I'd like to do now, just so that you can have a play with the, and don't forget this is going on the video, and it'll also be available in the WhatsApp, because we can download all this as a document afterwards. If you'd like to introduce yourself, Andy, do you want to stick something in?
On the Menti, or do you want me to speak?
On Menti, yeah. Yeah, I just wanted you to demonstrate how it works. And Rachel, if you do code, please, so that everybody gets an idea. Anna, yes, this is a recorded session, and we will be making it available later. We will be talking about setting up a WhatsApp group so that we can share information and so forth. Ella, just ask a question to chat then. There you go. Cheers, Andy. Thank you. So if you'd like to introduce yourself, so these will be available. So Ella, if you
yeah, sorry, I lost it on my phone. I'm trying to get it back, and it's sending me to a dating site.
Oh, that's not good.
Can you give me the QR code again, please?
Yeah, if you go to, yes, that's going to be a bit tricky. If you go to menti.com and just trying to find that number. Oh, yeah, if you go to menti.com and then use the code 4078.
Yeah, I wrote down the code. It's getting the website back that seems to be the issue.
Oh, It's menti.com.
Yeah, I've got this stupid phone. Oh, here we go. That right. Gotcha.
How's everybody else doing? Okay, yeah. William's going for the old tax approach, so we've got, and I'm going to really apologise for saying your surname. Do you want to take yourself off mute rather than me mangle it?
It's Haybrook.
Haybrook, right. So the Clear Wine Company.
Yes.
Yeah, William sells importing and selling wine. Wants to learn about more SEO and empowering our website sales. Now start blogging. Okay, let's see what brilliant. There we go. Some more coming through now. So we've got George, company's top set, and we've got Catherine, Paul and Legal Services. Obviously, Menti's taking a few minutes to come through. Ella, providing accountant services, trying to sell without selling. Absolutely, yes. If you're selling any professional sorts of services, well, I don't think these days. I think you've got to take a different approach. And it's all about helping people. So Paul's got a legal background in legal services, looking to market some service to businesses using my experience and teaching business how to do debt recovery in-house. Somebody's got a proactive accountancy. Claire at Born Hair Care, looking to grow a website via digital marketing and sell high-end hair care products. Excellent. Rachel, good to see you, from Puddalicious, based in North Lancs, makes puddings, including traditional fruit crumbles, etc. Rick Suthers, Director of Care and Global, good to see you, Rick. Okay, so you've got the idea of how to use Menti. I say this we'll be creating a WhatsApp group at the end. So what I want you to now do is what problems are you looking to solve? So what we'll do is I'm just going to come out of this. We'll do it the old-fashioned way. Let me. I'm just going to stop sharing that. Okay. So see each other a bit better. What are some of the challenges you guys face? Would you like to start the ball rolling? George?
Hi, thanks, Peter. I think the main issue we're having just now is we're a small business, say fewer than 10 employees, but the sales team and myself, who's responsible for the business development and the marketing, we're kind of working in silos just now. So they're only focusing in on the sales. So we're quite interested in aligning the two in terms of one system that the buyer persona is agreed from a marketing perspective, but also from the sales perspective. And I was really interested in your point when you were the MD of the waste company, is that you would grill your sales team to pull that information from them. What kind of questions were you asking for? Was it all around the buyer persona? And is that the kind of key starting place, do you think?
It is absolutely the key starting place. Because if you think of if you think of buyers these days, let's take a manufacturing buyer, the purchasing clerk or whatever you want to call it. And you may have the older person that's been doing it for years. They know everybody, they've got their black book, they've got the way of working and so forth. So they're not going to use technology, or they're going to use technology a lot less. You're going to have to interrupt them with something. That might be an email and so on. But then you might have, a junior clerk who's, out of college. They're digitally native. They're not even going to pick up the phone. They don't even know what the thing is. They'll want to use the tools. So they'll want to use web. They'll go to, you'll use Google. They'll use the search facilities. They'll go onto the web chat. I'm dreadful at it now. I love web chat. I'll sort of use that all day. And I'm not bothered if it's not live chat, where live chat is where you get that two-way conversation. With web chat, you leave the message and then somebody will get to you.
Okay.
It's not like putting a stuff in a contact form. So you've got this.
If I may just interject,
Yeah.
how do you separate the? There's probably a nicer way to put it, but the kind of the warmer to hot leads, if you will,
Yeah.
from people who are just saying, "Do you want me to redo your website? Do you, because people fill out the web chats all the time. So is there a process for that?"
Yeah, so what we find is that, so yes, there is a process. And what we find is that if it's a contact form, I would say 1 out of every 10 inquiries is a good one.
Okay.
If it goes through web chat, the quality of the inquiries are a lot higher because there's an expectation on the part of the person filling it in that they'll get a response because most web chats, do work. In terms of, we're going to cover this in I think it's now the next week or the week after, the sales funnel. And different people want different information at different levels. And your system and your processes, whether it's the sales guys or the marketing guys, need to provide information at those relevant levels. So in terms of the question you asked is how do you sort of filter those? Mm-hmm. So a lot of people, one example is that they filter out everything that's not, I want to buy 10 widgets, which is completely wrong. The sales guys will do that because that's what they're tasked on. They're tasked on, making those sales. They don't get any, they don't make any money. It depends on the organization, but they don't make any money if they're just giving out information. So so ideally, whichever level they're at, as long as it looks like a genuine inquiry. We did get hit with an inquiry the other day asking us to create £6,000 worth of video, mm-hmm. and it genuinely looked quite good. And then until I saw what the pay terms were, and they said they could only send us a US check when they're back in the States.
Oh, right.
And it was a very genuine look to, it's a very comprehensive. Then I typed in that company name plus and the word scam. And yeah, it was, so you've obviously got to be very aware that some of this stuff is dangerous, to be honest, because it has attachments with it. But just going on to the journey. So anything that's not, I want to buy 10 of this, it's, what's the information on this? How do I do this? And so forth. Within web chat, you can set up FAQs, you can set up answers. So depending on how many you get, it's worth spending a bit of time on the web chat FAQ section. So when they're typing in the questions, they actually get the answers instantly.
And is that bots then?
It is a bot. Intercom is probably the most famous one and the most affordable.
Thank you for that. That's a good top tip.
So is that helpful?
Yeah, very helpful. Thanks a lot.
Okay. Anybody else with sort of questions? Because you've all put, why you're on the workshop. So what is it? What help would you like sort of here and now?
I'm having a lot of trouble with getting my website working.
Okay.
We sell wine online,
mm-hmm.
And I was told that I have to do this SEO.
Yes.
And we thought of either getting an expert in to do it, but I had a crack at it myself.
Okay. Yeah.
I signed up to a course run by Moz. MOZ.
Okay. Yeah.
So it was basically a paid course, which I did find interesting, but then it started getting rather expensive and got down into the minutiae. And I hadn't really sort of caught up with the general workload which it was generating.
Yeah.
The position I've got to at the moment is that I've done my keyword research, and I've entered in the sections into the website containing keywords, but I'm not quite sure what the next step is, how to actually activate the whole process, and I believe I have to get in touch with Google Console to do that.
Yeah.
So I'm
So
looking for a little bit of technical help on that, really.
yeah. So there's two. Google do two free products. One's Google. Can I just, before I say any more, is what technology is the site in? Is it WordPress or is it Shopify?
So Weebly, Square Up Weebly.
Weebly, right? Okay. Okay. So I'm not familiar with the Weebly platform, but so you've got two things that Google offer free of charge: Google Analytics and Google Search Console. Google Analytics measures what happens on the site. So this is your website, it measures what's happening here. If we've got Google Search Console, measures what Google is sending to that website, which is your search engine optimization piece, but it's free. You do need access to what's called your DNS. Now this is where it does get horribly technical. So if you type in Google Search Console, if you're logged into Chrome, you can, with a Google email address, you can then set up your Google Search Console. It's free, and there's plenty of sort of online help for that. But what, unfortunately, the technical bit is it'll ask you to verify, which means that, and I don't know whether Weebly will do this or how you're managing your domain. This is unfortunately where digital marketing and technology do make it difficult for people. Did you develop the site yourself, or is it developed by somebody else?
We developed it ourselves, yes, myself.
All right. Well, probably if you do Google Weebly set up Search Console, because basically you've got to tell Weebly, Google that with this little piece of string of numbers and letters, and put it into the what's called the DNS that Weebly's got. But Weebly, I would imagine, does have a mechanism for that, and it is important for your search engine optimization. The only thing I would say is the problem with most websites, if you look at e-commerce sites, 75% of that traffic is driven by paid for advertising. So there's a thing called Google Shopping. So you also need to check out how you connect Weebly to Google Shopping. Yeah. You'll be able to Google it. There will be an answer. It may or may, I don't know Weebly, it could be yes or no. There are issues with some of these platform sites. The best one I find is Shopify, because then you can do everything you can do with a more expensive WordPress WooCommerce site. Does that help? Probably giving you a lot of homework.
So in fact, even if I do set up the Weebly site perfectly for linking with Google Search Console,
yeah,
only getting 25% of all organic searches, is that right? And the rest,
if that's done, if the search is done well, yes. Unfortunately, it's so competitive, especially in your business. Right. If you want to make it actually any money, you will need to look at paid, and it'll cost approximately 20-25, if you set it up correctly, 20 to 25% of the cost of acquiring it will be the cost of the product. So if you've got a product that's £10, it's going to cost you £2.50 to acquire that business. So you've got to make sure that your margins are right and your overheads are right.
Okay, thank you.
That's a sad fact of e-commerce, I'm afraid. Everybody goes, oh yeah, a bit of SEO and so on. I mean, Moz is a fantastic company, by the way, and they've got a great piece of software. We used to use it. We use a thing called SEMrush, which is even more expensive and more comprehensive. But there is another one called Uber Suggest. If you type in UBER and then suggest, that'll take you to Neil Patel's platform, which is free. Not quite as good as the other two, not as comprehensive, but for you, it'd be brilliant. So you don't need to pay Moz's charges which
Can you repeat that or put it in?
I'll put it in the chat. It's probably
Yeah.
easier. Uber, oops, wait for my keyboard to wake up. Yes.com. There you go. So if you want a low free, or if you, even the paid for version is low cost, then Uber Suggest is a great tool for you. And I'll put it into the chat there.
Brilliant. Thank you.
Okay. So any other sort of questions, Ella?
Yeah, I did put it on the Menti thing. Now I've got it back. Yeah, you know, the traditional advertising in magazines and papers and things. I noticed that wasn't really on your thing. Do you not bother with that at all now?
No.
Okay then.
No, I would never recommend it to, unless the only time that you might use sort of a local paper is, well, first of all, just stepping back a bit, local papers themselves. So I'm based in Shropshire. We have the Shropshire Star, and it's very good at I'm subscribed to it, but I don't pay for it. My wife actually pays for it. If you can get a PR story into your local newspaper and it's got a link back to yours, then that is really good. And the reason being is that because they're a newspaper providing educational, sort of information-based sort of copy, they're what called domain rankings, i.e. what Google thinks of them is extremely high. So if you there is a strategy to do with PR where you can use PR to help you with what's called backlinking, to get a link from a very high profile site to your site, which helps lift up the profile. In terms of actually advertising a return on investment, you need to be very very local, and people and your audience, back to buyer persona again. Older people still buy newspapers, actual physical things that you flick through and so forth. So George has said a second drop in printed advertising. It is very hard to measure. We've never had really much success with it. The only thing I would say is flyers. Flyers do work. So if your buyer is in your locality, you can then send out flyers, which is far more effective than sticking an ad in.
Yeah, I don't think that would kind of work for my kind of business.
What is your business?
I did a campaign last year because I'm concentrating on the aviation and transport sort of kind of clients. I actually advertised in the Pilot magazine.
Okay.
And what I have found is when the magazine is issued, I do have a spike of visitors to my website, but how that converts to actual customers, I'm waiting to see, I think, on that one.
Did you, well, if they've not converted, then, I mean, do you, when you ask, I mean, this is to everybody really, when you get an inquiry, do you ask where they found you?
Oh yes, I mean, most of mine seem to come from LinkedIn and referrals. So
yeah, that's where I put my money. That's where I put my money. So there's a few things in chat which I'll pick up on. So so Anna said Uber Suggest helped me in trying to start with keywords. That's great news. George, flyers with QR codes, which you can freely generate a QR code. That's absolutely. Yeah. And Philip was saying, would you recommend Uber Suggest as a place for SEMrush? No. It's all a question of cost. Uber Suggest is free for a few limited stuff. There's a chargeable version which we pay for, but I can't remember what the charge is. We pay it annually. The next one up is Moz. If in terms of price and functionality, Moz is an excellent product. We used it for years. But because we were pushing deeper into the technicalities of PPC, pay-per-click advertising, and SEO, getting into the real deep technicals of SEO, then we need SEMrush. But for majority of people, I mean, it's quite expensive. It's about $280, I think. Who else is okay? Yeah. So yeah, and so in terms of just answering Philip's message, SEMrush is a very, very powerful tool. I think a brilliant tool, but it takes a while to get your head around it. It's not for beginners, that's for sure. But no, SEMrush has got so much depth to it that you just keep digging. Okay. Is any sort of last question? Just pulling up the other screen. So some of the marketing problems you guys are trying to solve: reaching out to customers without direct selling. So it's about promoting the brand, promoting your expertise, being seen as the person who can solve your problem, solve their problem most effectively. You need a range of commitment levels. So we've got free workshops, we've got the book, which is a few quid, and then we've got other services which then sit on top of that, slowly increasing the commitment. And LinkedIn, Ella gave a great example, said, have you tried paid? And then I've tried LinkedIn, and LinkedIn's knocking it out of the park, whereas the printed isn't. And that's a good illustration as to where we are all at the moment. So our emails don't seem to be successful. We're using Klaviyo. I've not heard of that system. People are opening and clicking, but the sales aren't happening. And also our social media posts don't generate sales. All right, so I'm going to finish on that one because we are running up to time. So emails, I don't know whether anybody's old like me, but when we used to send out a traditional snail mail, as you guys call it now, as it's called now, for every 100, we would get 2 responses. So there's 1 or 2% response. And what I find really fascinating is that number is still in digital marketing as well. So if you send out 100 emails, chances are between 2 and 5% will actually click on the thing and do something. Now, the frustrating thing is when they land on your website, that ratio still exists. So you've got 100 visitors, 1 or 2 will do something. And if you remember the slide at the start, we looked at it as a system. Well, you've got to make sure every single level of that system. Now, we didn't do sales funnel this time. We're going to do it, I think, in 2 weeks' time. But social media is generally top of funnel unless you're using paid advertising. If you're using paid advertising, then you can pull them through that funnel a lot quicker. But you've got to remember, you've got to take them from cold to inquiry, and that's quite a journey, depending on what your product is. If you're buying a bottle of wine, it's a short journey. But if you're buying some kind of professional service or selling a piece of machinery or something, that might be quite a longer process. You just got to remember that social media is there. If it's just a general post, yes, you may get a few inquiries from it. So my daughter is into CrossFit, and she wore a boyfriend had given her a 7 kilogram weight vest, and she put a post up about it. And it started out the personal bit, and then it went on to business. We had 45,000, just to give you an idea of the stats, we had 45,000 views. We had 3 inquiries. Those are the stats. So if you really want to get an inquiry from a post, it's got to be really good, and you've got to get that coverage. And there are tips and tricks which we'll be looking at in future workshops. Okay, conscious we're coming up to time, I do want to share with you one last slide for me. Just pull that to the end. Oops. Oh, I managed to kill it. Oh, it's true. There we go. I'll just share the screen. Okay. So one of the things I'd like to do, we run WhatsApp groups for other groups that I run, and it's a great way to ask questions, during the week. It's a great way to interact with other people who have got the same challenges and so forth. If you would like to be in the WhatsApp group, please email Rachel Eglin at cub-uk.com. Rachel's with us here today, and we run this every week. We just open up the website to book on next week. If you have found it useful, I'll say we can't get to everybody's questions, but I do want to keep these to an hour. If you click on events, hopefully you can see the events there. So this one is finished. We'll be doing digital marketing strategy next time, which is looking at the bigger picture. And then we'll be looking at the marketing funnel, which I've alluded to today. And then Rachel will be putting up the rest of the program. So this is the first time we've launched it in this format, doing it this way. Can I just ask, how did people find it? Was it useful? Would you come again? I think there's a few, you can conduct yourself.
Yes, that is the answer from me. I was just about to type yes, but yes, it was good. Thanks. I'm interested in speaking to you after, for the one-to-one stuff.
Yeah.
More so, but that's because I've got a lot to explain about what we do and stuff. So,
okay,
that's what.
Yeah, that's cool. Well,
Okay.
Rachel's here. Yeah, George.
Yeah, I thought it was really good. I thought there was a bit of a disconnect with the Menti QR scan and then trying to type on your phone. I think that was what the delay was, as opposed to Menti, because everybody had to then kind of go from Zoom to that. But that's just some constructive feedback. I thought the overall session was brilliant. Thank you very much.
All right. Cheers, George. Thank you. Yes, I'm sure we'll get better at Menti. But it's because we want to get more and more people involved, so that you've got this community of people who are interested in digital marketing, so that you can start asking questions of each other and so forth. Anybody, any other sort of comments, feedback, thoughts?
It was very helpful. Thank you, Peter. I've got lots of little notes for myself to look further into different things afterwards. So yeah, great. Thank you.
Brilliant. Cheers, Rachel. Thanks very much. Okay, it's midday. Thank you very much for the feedback. I hope you all enjoyed it. I'll say the rest of Rachel will be putting on the other 8 workshops, so you can see the progression. It is dropping in and out. There's no commitment to whatever. And if there's anything else you're interested in, please get in touch. And Rachel and myself will be very happy to help you. Okay, thanks very much. See you later.